You tuned in to the Iceman Show, the Iceman Unchained. You can follow me on Instagram at the Iceman Show. You can follow me on Twitter at the Iceman Show at Mr. Freeze. You can also get the link to my Facebook page at AskTheIceman.com. Just go to AskTheIceman.com and look to the right hand corner. You'll find you can copy and paste my page, my Facebook page. It's Richard Long, and that's how you can friend me up on Facebook. If you want to get my book, The Game of Life, according to the Iceman Volume 1, you can get my book at Amazon.com. You can get it in Kindle format, tablet format, and even paperback format. If you want an autograph copy of The Game of Life, according to the Iceman Volume 1, an autographed copy of my paperback book, go to AskTheIceman.com and click on Add to Cart, and it'll tell you what to do from there. So you can get my autographed paperback version of my book, The Game of Life, according to the Iceman Volume 1. I wanted to holler at y'all about a couple of things. You know, I get a lot of emails from young cats who want to holler at me about non-black women. And a lot of these guys will send me emails talking about non-black women love brothers. And I thought that too. You know, if you listen to my show 2 or 3 years ago, I was always hyping women up in the Twin Cities. I was always talking that shit that non-black women love brothers. And the conclusion I came to after years of research and my own observations, I came to the conclusion that that wasn't so. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't women who are just into brothers because of our swag and, you know, how we dress and you know, there's some classy brothers out here. Unfortunately, the thug brothers and the ghetto brothers and the dusty brothers get all the publicity, whether it's warranted or unwarranted. And I was just thinking, you know, after you know, we just got a new president, President Trump. He and his first lady stepped out yesterday. And you know, one thing I'm gonna say about Donald Trump, man, Donald Trump seemed to me like he's hung around a few brothers in his day. Because Donald Trump got, for an old white dude, he got a little swag. Now, you know, you might feel a certain type of way about him. You know, oh, he a racist, he that, he this, he that. You know what? There's a whole lot of racist white men out here. Okay? You and I probably talk to racist white men every day. Okay? We got to get away. We got to get out of that mode of thinking. Well, he better not call me a nigga, because if he does, I'm going to hit him in his eye. Well, you know what? Now you're going to be in jail. But the one thing I figured out is, Trump, it's just some things that he does that let me know obviously, he sometimes he used to hang out with Mike Tyson. Him and Mike Tyson used to run them streets. Because Donald Trump tore up a lot of pussy out here. Or he tore up a lot of pussy before he got married that last time. Okay? He ain't running them streets no more like he used to. I mean, anytime you see somebody in a picture with Mike Tyson, you know they out there tearing up pussy. Okay? You know they out there tearing up some pussy. So I'm looking at Donald Trump and his wife, Melania, and I'm thinking to myself, here's Donald Trump and Melania, a.k.a. Boris and Natasha. And I was thinking to myself, if I was a billionaire, would these bitches want to hang around me because I'm a billionaire, or would they want to hang around me because I'm a halfway decent looking guy and I'm a lot of fun to be around? I want you to hold that thought for a second. And so, those of you who've been following my show, especially the last year or so, you know that I decided that I was going to live full time down in San Antonio, Texas, or San Antonio, Texas, or Stank Antonio, Texas. And as you know, there is a predominance of Latinos and Mexican people of Mexican heritage down here in the San Antonio area. And you can't throw a rock without hitting somebody of Mexican heritage in this city. You just can't. And the one thing I figured out, or what I thought I knew, I really wasn't as in tune like I thought I was. The hypothesis that I came up with 4 or 5 years ago was that non-black women got a thing for black men. And that's not the case. That is not the case. That's not how I feel today. That's not how I feel today. How I feel today is something totally different. I have come to the conclusion that that is not so. Now, I'll give you evidence as to how I came to that conclusion. And you will be amazed at my findings. All over in my travels around San Antonio and all over Texas, because sometimes I go to Houston, sometimes I go to Dallas. And probably in the near future, I'll be going to El Paso on business as well. And the one conclusion I've come to is that black men are the last resort. And even so doing, we are the last resort when it comes to non-black women. And they still end up picking the best out of those black men. That's not to say that I don't see some dustiness around here in San Antonio, because I do. What I'm saying is that most of the time, non-black women will only fuck with black men if they got some money and if they're tricking and simping. Most of the non-black women that I see, especially here in San Antonio and even in Minneapolis, St. Paul, most of the time, these women only want to be bothered with us if we're providing a free dating safari. Let me say that again. Most of the time, non-black women only want to be bothered with black men if we're providing a free dating safari. Let me elaborate. When non-black women fuck with black men, they'll fuck with a dusty nigga. Especially if he's muscular and has a tight body and looks good. They'll fuck with you even though you broke. Because I got over with that for a long time being in shape. I ain't in great shape right now because I've been eating. I've been grubbing. It got cold down here for a minute and I start eating. So I gained about 20 pounds and I'm trying to lose it now. But once we get to where we're back, once they get around March, April, I'll get down to my normal weight. Anyway, I was sitting here thinking one day, because I was looking out my window. I had my blinds open in the living room, and I'm sitting on my couch and I'm looking out the window, and I look at behavior. See, I get a lot of my analysis from behavior. This ain't some shit I read in a social work book from my master's in social work program. This is real life. And I notice that whenever I get hit on by non-black women, it's usually some busted, way over the hill Mexican chick or some white chick or some Asian chick. And I know part of that is because of my age. I'm in my 50s now. So I look a little older. Although I still have women tell me that I got the skin of somebody 25 years younger. Because I ain't got no wrinkles. I don't look like I've had a hard time in life. I don't have that look. So they say, oh, you're in your 40s, huh? I said, no, I'm a lot older than 40, trust me. And I tell them I'm in my mid-50s. And they're like, oh, damn, you black people don't age. And I take that as a compliment. And the one thing that I realize is this. I do get hit on. See, you got to understand about a lot of non-black women. If they're good looking, and even if they're near my age or even younger, they're not going to play their hand. They always expect or wait for me to approach them. Every now and then I'll get a good looking, 30-something white girl to say something to me. But I don't bite. I'm real careful not to bite because she just might be just being friendly. With some of them, some white girls will be friendly with you. Is there some ulterior motive? Possibly. But I don't, hey, can I get your number? I don't get thirsty. I don't do that thirsty shit. So you can do that with black women. You can't do that with these other women. Because you're going to, more often than not, you're going to get the response you don't want, which is a no. Or they'll tell you, oh, I got a husband or I'm married and all that, start talking that shit. I'm not even going to have that conversation with somebody. Okay? Because some women don't wear their ring. And like I said, we don't know what's going on with that. The ring could be at the shop getting fixed. It could be getting cleaned at the jeweler. Some people do take their rings to the jeweler and have the jeweler take the diamonds off and clean it and all that kind of stuff. Costs a couple $100 to have that done. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Because dirt gets deposited in there and all that good stuff. Plus, most people's rings ain't real all the way diamonds anyway. But good-looking non-black women ain't gonna play their hand, no matter what age they are. There's gonna be a whole lot of ambiguity because they want to see what you're gonna do. And if you work out at the same athletic club that they do, which is usually the case with me, if I go to events in mental health here in San Antonio, maybe they're at that kind of stuff. They're a little bit more friendly at stuff like that because they figure, oh, he's on my level or above. He's a highly educated guy. I'll never see him bring no woman in this kind of stuff, which I don't. So they figure, oh, he might, they'll give me the eye. Oh, they'll give me the eye, and they'll smile, and they might even come by and say hi. But they still don't play their hand. They don't say, hey, why don't we go get a drink after this event tonight? They don't do that. Because one part of it could be that they don't want to get rejected, which I've heard before in the past. And the other part could be that they expect, being that you're a black man, and black men are so make themselves so available most of the time, acting thirsty, that they don't have to work very hard as they would if you were the same race as they were. Y'all see where I'm going with this? So they already look at black men as a lower, not necessarily a lower quality man. It's hard to explain this phenomenon. It's not that they see you as less than human or they see you as somebody that's not on their level as far as race. That's not it. If you go in that direction, you're going to get pissed off, because I did, because I didn't understand. What it is, people, it's more so about culture and what their colleagues, family, and friends are going to say if they step out with a black man. That's what they are contemplating. And the younger they are, the less likely they're going to fuck with you. Unless you probably went to high school with them, or they already have an understanding with their family that it doesn't matter what man they bring home as long as he's a decent man and he's got potential. There are some Hispanics and some whites here in the Southwest who are cool with their daughters or their nieces bringing home a black man, just as long as he ain't dusty and he ain't no thug. But then you have the folks on the other hand who you have these racially prejudiced non-black women who do look at you as less than their men, and that, oh, I'm only going to fuck with a black man unless he got some money. Now, if he played for the Houston Texans, or he played for Dallas, or he's a psychotherapist, or he's a lawyer, or if he's a doctor, I'll fuck with him. But again, they're looking for somebody easy. And most black men make it easy when they fuck with non-black women. Because they are under the impression, most black men are under the impression that non-black women they're just so hungry for black dick that they're going to give it up on the first date. And that's not, most of the time that ain't even so. But you got a lot of brothers who will lay out the red carpet for an average looking white girl because he thinks he's going to get some pussy. Because based on his ignorance, he assumes that maybe because he ran into a white girl at his job, or he ran into a white girl in college, or he ran into a couple white girls in the military that gave up the pussy without him doing anything, he's under the assumption that all white women are that way, and that's not the case. Because even the ones who are that way with white men or with Mexican men, they're not going to be that way with you. And I'll get to that later on in this video, in this lecture. I'll get to that in a minute and why that's the case. But there's two things that you have to consider when you're dating non-black women. First of all, race is the first thing, and culture is the second thing. And culture is more important than race. And I'll explain later on in this lecture why culture is more important than race. Remember, they're also concerned about the reaction, especially of the men, especially talking about somebody in Latino culture. They let their men lead, unlike our community, unlike the black, so-called black diaspora. They let their men lead, even if they do a shitty job. They'll still follow their men. They'll follow them off a cliff. And I'll get to that later on in this video as well, why that is. But they're not going to follow you off a cliff. And that's something you got to keep in mind when you're dating non-black women. And see, this shit gets black men in trouble because black men are always under this impression that they fooling somebody, or that she's hungry for some black dick. She's a dick goblin. She's a black dick goblin. She just wants some black dick. And you walk around holding your dick, talking shit around your homies. And then when this chick plays the Steve Harvey wait 60 and 90 days, and you done been whining and dining this chick because you thought, because she's a little Mexican chick, you thought you was going to get them draws real quick. And you keep taking her out, and you don't never get no ass. And all you get is a kiss on the cheek, and she kick her leg up. Thanks! And the bitch goes in the house and calls Sancho and them to come over there and beat them guts up. Sancho ain't got to do shit to get the pussy. But you do. You done took this bitch out 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. And she still ain't gave no pussy up to your ass. She don't never call you. She don't never text you unless she's saying, are you on your way over here to pick me up to go out? See, these women don't never catch me slipping like that because I done figured that shit out. Like I said, with me, it only had to happen with me one time before I figured that shit out. At the most, twice. I'll give you an example. There's this Mexican dude that lives on the 3rd floor that he's a fucking idiot. And he has a sister that's a really nice looking sister. He got a sister she's probably about 20, 21, 22, real good looking chick. She used to stay over here sometimes. And so when me and him was cool, you know, I noticed she was staying over here. And she had this little friend with her. She had this chunky little friend with her. And they were dating these guys. And I could tell these guys didn't have no money. They're 2 Mexican guys. They ain't had no money. They come over here on the bus. Or they would come over here. The last time I seen them, because I ain't seen her in a minute. I think she might be in the military. Because I ain't seen her in a minute. Anyway, they came over here. The 2 dudes came over here. And they picked that one of the dudes had a white van, a late model van, probably like a 2012, 2013, looked like a work van. And it was parked in front of my window. I had back then it was still hot. So I had my window open and I had my blinds open. And so I'm letting, get some air in the house. So I'm sitting there watching TV and I heard something go, dee, dee. With them work vans, they put them sensors on them when they backing up, it makes a lot of noise. So I'm looking and I see this van backing up because the parking spot is right in front of my window. So I looked out and I see this van. I could see it had two, they usually have a driver's seat, a passenger seat, and the back of the van, there's no seats. And so I looked and it was like tools and stuff in the back. Anyway, they pulled up and I hear these girls running down the stairs. The stairs is right by my apartment. And they're running down the stairs giggling and acting silly. And they come out and they get in the van. And they were like, oh, y'all got to sit back there on the floor. Because they had no seats back there. And so they got in the van and the girls sat on the floor. And the dudes sat in the seats up in the front of the van. And they pulled off. And I said to myself, would those girls, would they have accepted sitting on the floor like that if there were two young black guys of comparable age? Probably not. Probably not. But because they were of the same race and same culture, they tolerated that. I'll give you some more scenarios. I've seen Mexican women. This is when I used to ride the express bus downtown to go to class 3 or 4 years ago when I was in that Masters in Social Work program. And I see these broke-ass Mexican couples with 3, 4 kids, and they be having all these strollers, and then they got 2 or 3 toddlers holding on to their crotch, and the woman is visibly miserable. The guy, and I've talked to some of these women. They like, oh, my boyfriend, he got a felony, so all he can get is these cooking jobs at Applebee's and Chili's and them kind of jobs, and he all frustrated. He be beating on me because he frustrated, and he out here trying to slang dope and all this kind of shit. But those women did not leave these dudes. They didn't leave these dudes. And as fine as some of these little 22, 23, 24-year-old chicks were, they weren't going to leave those guys. Why? Because of race and culture. They'll tolerate being broke and thirsty and dusty with their own men. Same thing with white women. White women will go out here and be college educated, be taking care of motherfuckers. I've seen white girls sitting up here taking care of white dudes all day long. But as soon as they decide they're going to start dating black men when they get in their 30s and 40s and 50s, all of a sudden he got to have this. He got to have that. He got to have this kind of car. He got to have this kind of place to stay. He got to live in this neighborhood. All of a sudden they got standards when it comes to black men. But 20 years before that, first of all, was I don't date niggers. But they'll go out and get a white dude who will sit on his ass all day playing video games. They'll tolerate that. Why? Because of race and culture. There's so many different examples of this shit. Even if I just use my apartment complex for my analysis, I have plenty of test cases. It's all over this apartment complex. I see couples, I know they struggling. But they're willing to struggle with a Mexican. They look miserable. They'll sit there and work those fast food jobs and put up with not having barely having enough money to pay rent. They'll put up with getting their asses kicked because he's Mexican. Do I see some of these women with some black guys and they dusty? Yes. But he probably knew that bitch when they were in high school. He probably already knows her family. So it's no big deal. I didn't say there was no exceptions. I didn't say there weren't any exceptions. Didn't say that. But again, when they decide they don't give a shit about what their family thinks, or they don't plan on bringing you around their family, which a lot of non-black women will pull that shit, especially up north. Oh, all of my family are in the Klan, so I can't bring you around my family. No problem, because I ain't gonna bring you around mine. I'm not planning on bringing your ass around my family. Matter of fact, you're not going to meet any of my family because you're just pussy. But I see countless Mexican couples, white couples in my apartment complex ain't got a pot to piss in. But they'll struggle with their own men. Now again, I've said this on many occasions. I don't have no problem getting black women. I never have had a problem getting black women. Never have had a problem with getting black women. Black women love me. I just don't put up with black women's games. So as soon as they start talking stupid, I get rid of them. And if I get a whiff, even before we meet at Starbucks, that there ain't gonna be no pussy being given up, I'm quick to dump their ass. I'm quick to delete their number out of my phone. I'm not gonna waste my time dealing with black women who want to act stupid and not give up no pussy. Because they always come with some baggage. They got too many fucking kids, or they got kids and they don't know how to, maybe only got one kid, but they don't know how to manage that kid. I ain't dealing with that shit. I don't want to hear about your grown ass son who's going in and out of jail. I don't want to hear about your grown ass son who will never reach his potential because you raised him to be a bitch and a punk. I don't want to hear it. I'm definitely not going to sit around and listen to it from a non-black woman, because they got the same problems. Nobody's immune from having bum ass kids. It happens. I'm just trying to educate you on the fact that your dick ain't so good. You ain't Sweet Dick Willie, and your dick ain't so good that all non-black women gotta have some black penis. Get that shit out your head. That's plantation buck talk. That's how plantation buck type niggas talk. That's how niggas talk. They got 3 or 4 kids by 3 or 4 different women. That's how niggas like that talk. You supposed to be a little bit more educated than that. They will struggle with their own men, but they're not going to carry and struggle with you. They're not going to carry you When you step to them, they expect to be wined and dined. They expect you to roll out the red carpet, especially if they got a culture that is different from yours. You have to understand something. A good number, not most, and definitely not all, but a good number of Latino families are intact. Or they seem like they're intact. Most white families, the same thing. Asian families, a little bit more intact than everybody. So they have a microculture that is totally different from most of you who came from single female-headed households where there was no structure. Your mother treated you like a pet rather than a human child. She just gave you four walls and a ceiling and told you, here, you know, eat this ramen noodle shit for dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because I can't cook, because my mama never taught me how to cook, because she was a welfare hoe. So you grew up, you know, they call them the millennial generation. I call y'all the ramen noodle generation, because none of you motherfuckers can cook. You eating Hot Pockets and all that old cancerous shit, eating all that nasty shit. Or you're eating fast food all the fucking time. You come from a totally different culture. But you are so pussy struck and so love struck because black women show so much disrespect toward us that any kind of smile or any kind of interest in you, you think these women want you because you're black and because you're so fine and you got such a big ass dick. And I can assure you that these women would rather have their own men and their tiny penises than to fuck with you. Why? Because it's easier for me to date a black woman from the outset. Initially speaking, it is easier for me to date a black woman. Why? Because she looks like me. Now that's the only thing we got in common. Because 99.9% of the black women I come in contact with, even the ones my age, come from single female-headed households. Or they hate their fathers. Or they don't have a real good relationship with their fathers. So you might as well say they hate their daddy and they got daddy issues. And once we meet at Starbucks, because you ain't gonna get a date right out the jump, we meet at Starbucks, they start running their fucking mouth, talking shit, talking about their baby daddy ain't shit and their daddy ain't shit and all the men in their family ain't shit. You can best believe I'm not gonna talk to her again. I don't give a fuck how big her ass is. I don't give a damn how big her titties are. I could give a fuck. You're a problem and a liability. And if you have no respect for your ex-husband or your ex-boyfriend, your baby daddy, and you got kids with this guy, where do I fit into this equation and you don't have no kids with me? If you're willing to treat the father of your kids that way, just think what you'll do to me, and I ain't even got no kids with your ass. Y'all see where I'm going with this? So the only thing, but it's initially easier for me to step out with a black woman in public because she looks like me. But culturally, we're different. Because now, if she come from a two-parent household, which very few black women do, even my age, in their mid-50s, we get along pretty good. But then there might be some other kind of problems going on that we don't have enough time to we don't have time to analyze, because this video will be 3 or 4, 5, 6 hours. But the gist, the breadth of black women out here, most of them my age and lower and younger, come from single female headed households. And that's a cultural difference from what I'm used to. I grew up in a house where our phone number was the same from the time I was 4 or 5 years old until I was damn near 30. And I had moved out of the house. Because my mom and dad didn't play that shit. My mom and dad didn't play that getting the phone cut off shit. They didn't play that getting the light bill cut off. They didn't play that. They didn't play the instability game. But the woman I married did come from a home where the lights were out every other week. Phone was cut off every other week. Water cut off every other week. Because there were morons running the household. Or one moron, her mama, running the household. So as you can see, race and culture play a huge role in dealing with what even with you trying to date black women. I get emails from these, especially these young cats. They'll say, yo, Ice, man, why come these young black women got such shitty attitude? Brother, that didn't start with them. These women had shitty attitudes in the 70s when I was in school. Them bitches didn't have no sense back then, because they were dealing with instability at home. That wasn't just about you and them. That was about the shit they were dealing with at home. Now, I'm not going to talk about African sisters, and I'm going to talk about Caribbean sisters, because they come from different they come from a different culture. I'm mainly talking about Americanized black women. So when you deal with women of another race, you gotta factor in race, and you gotta factor in culture. And even though they might find black men attractive and sexy, they're too scared to date you in their 20s. They're too scared to date you in their 30s. Because they know if they bring you to a family barbecue, somebody's going to say nigger. And you're going to end up whooping their ass. Somebody's going to say something stupid. And it could be the male relatives and the female relatives. Don't sit up here and think that non-black women ain't racist, because they are. But a lot of them scale back their racial prejudice when they get to the age where their men don't find them attractive and useful anymore. You have to understand something. And you've heard this recurring theme through all of my videos for at least the last 4 years. That the usefulness in American society, in our culture, the usefulness of a woman is based upon whether or not she can bear children. So when a woman gets into her late 30s and 40s and 50s and starts going through menopause, what you think starts happening to her as far as how she feels about herself? First of all, she doesn't like the way she looks physically. She don't like the fact that she's got to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars every month and every year dyeing her hair from salt and pepper, or from all the way gray or all the way white to some kind of, brunette or blonde hair, because of the fact that she's trying to look younger than what she is. That's why you notice if you go to a convenience store, you got some old Mexican white or some old Mexican working in there, or some old white chick working at a convenience store. You notice that their hair is salt and pepper or all the way gray. Why? Because they ain't got the money to dye it. If you make it $8, $9 an hour, do you think you're gonna have enough money or have enough time to dye your own hair? You can tell. I can always tell when a woman has dyed her own hair. It's just like, what somebody's hair looks like if they try to cut their own hair at home and they don't have the right mirrors. Their hair look like, some blind person cut their hair. Same thing with color jobs. I can tell a box color, Walmart box color Miss Clairol coloring job. I can tell because it looks like shit. It's too dark on one side, too light on the other side. Didn't get down to the roots because this bitch didn't do it right. She did a rush job. And their hair looks like shit. I can always tell when a woman goes to the beauty shop and gets her hair dyed properly by a professional. Especially if they got highlights in it. So when these women, you have to understand, there's only two kinds of non-black women who fuck with black men. Either they're too old and considered ugly to their own men in their own race. They fuck with black men, and then you have the other half. They either met those black men, and maybe their family are cool with black people, and they've been dating these guys since they were in their 20s, or actually three groups. And then you have the non-black women who only date highly educated black men like me and some of you, and black men who have very professional jobs, or they're a professional athlete, or they're an actor, or they're some kind of entertainer. There's those only three groups that they fall into, and most of them fall into the group of I only fuck with niggers if they got some money, or I fuck with niggers by default because the men in my own race don't want my fat ass no more. That's why you always see these black men out here with these ugly ass, curmudgeon looking Mexican women or white women around all over the country. And when I see them, I'm like, damn, look at this nigga. You couldn't do no better than that? I'll give you an example. I'm at the athletic club. I'm getting ready to get in the jacuzzi. So I come out, you don't know who's in there. I come out of the locker room and I usually have a towel on my head because, I know I'm gonna end up getting in this jacuzzi sweating. So I get in the jacuzzi, and this was like a month ago. And I get ready to get in the jacuzzi. They got two big ass jacuzzis right next to each other. And I go in there and I get ready to get in the jacuzzi, and there's this kind of fat brother and this white chick in the adjacent jacuzzi. And I'm getting in the first one, they're in the second one. So I get in there and I kind of glanced over there and I saw them, but I just, I got tunnel vision on when I'm trying to get out of that athletic club. I'm trying to get home. And so I'm coming out of there and I get in there and I'm submerged and I'm chilling. And I look over there and I see this ugly ass white chick looking at me. I mean, this chick was fat and just ugly. And I could tell, yeah, she was in her 40s, but she probably looked like that in her 20s. She just was not an attractive woman at all. And I stand up because usually I put my feet over those jets so I can kind of get a foot massage. And I was feeling a certain kind of way. And I'm standing there, and the woman kept looking at me. Man, I gave her a nasty ass look. Because I was like, bitch, stop looking at me. And I turn around, I see this nigga sitting over there. And he know, I was looking at him just like, this nigga, he knew what I was thinking when I was looking at him. And he had this look on his face like, oh shit. I was looking at this nigga like, man, you couldn't get a better white girl than that. I mean, this chick was fat. She had a flat ass. I mean, she didn't have no curves or nothing. I mean, she was disgusting looking. And a lot of these niggas will go get these white girls. They just go get anything. Because those bitches, they just want a man. So this nigga, he was so embarrassed. His girl, when I gave her that nasty look, that she got out. She got out the jacuzzi. And she was getting her towel together and drying off and getting ready to, walk away. And here he tried to delay. Because, I was turned toward them by this time. So, he had this look on his face like, first he was looking down. He wouldn't even look at me. Because when I first walked in there, he was looking at me. And he had this really ashamed look on his face. Like, man, I know it. He knew what I was thinking. Nigga, you couldn't do no better than that. You ain't got this ugly ass Becky. The fuck is wrong with you? And man, he just had this tortured look on his face like, damn. And he took a minute to get out that jacuzzi. And I was just looking at this nigga shaking my head. I was like, look at this nigga. You couldn't do better than that. I know there was some better looking white girls than that you could have got at. He just looked ashamed. And when they walked out, he didn't walk right next to her. He was like, oh, well, she kept walking and she kept turning around looking at him like, damn, nigga, ain't you gonna catch up? Man, he was walking like, bitch, I don't want nobody else to see me with you. That's the look he had on his face. But he deserves that. Because he wasn't a bad looking brother. He was just kind of obese. You can tell he let himself go a little bit. He still was a halfway decent, dark skinned looking brother. He still could have did better than that. He took whatever he can get. Some niggas are just like that. They'll take whatever they can get and then be ashamed. Very few of the black men I see that come in this athletic club have decent looking white girls. Now the younger looking brothers that come in there, yeah, they be with some decent looking Mexican chicks and some white women, but most of the guys that come in there usually have either usually got an Asian chick or they got a Mexican chick, and most of them are attractive or attractive in a prototype sense of the word. But I say that to say this. I'm not saying that this is some Filipino chicks I met up there in the Twin Cities. I'm not saying that you shouldn't holler at women of other races, but you should. What I'm saying is, if you're gonna holler at them with the mindset that you know what's going on, and you know if this person's trying to use you. Because a lot of especially when you start talking about the online game. When you start talking about the online game, that just opens up so much. That just opens up so many cans of worms. Because you don't really, you don't know those people. All you're looking at is some pictures on a page. You really don't, these people, you don't know whether this is even a real woman. For all you know. And if these women are the ones that are coming by black men's pages sending messages, initiating contact, you know they up to no good. I'll give you an example. I told y'all probably about 6 months ago I was going to put a profile up on Match.com, and I finally got around to it last September. And I had a page up for you got to pay for 3 months. And by the way, Match Group, the company that owned Match.com bought POF about 2 or 3 months ago. So now they own PlentyOfFish.com. And I went on Match. You always see these commercials. They always talking shit, talk about more marriages on Match, more relationships. It's all a bunch of bullshit, and we know it, especially from a male's point of view. And I put a profile up. I put some of my best pics up on there. And at first, I got all kind of responses from women from all over the country. Good-looking black women, because obviously they're going to be a better quality. There's going to be a better quality of women, black women, on a paid site rather than a free site like PlentyOfFatAssHoles.com. Anyway, I got a lot of messages from women of all races, mainly white and black. And one thing that I noticed is that the only women who were sending me messages were 40-something white and Hispanic women and Asian women who were already past their prime and their best years were already behind them. And again, we live in a country where youth is important in America. And again, these women's best years are behind them. And here they are hitting on me like, look at me, look what I have to offer. And yeah, these women were college educated and they had good jobs, but a woman having a good job don't make my dick get hard. A woman having a great career doesn't get my dick hard. I was telling a woman not too long ago, a colleague of mine, she was talking shit about me and talking about, this black woman, she's a corporate executive. She was talking shit, talking about, this was somebody I was dating, by the way. She gonna talk shit, talking about, black men don't want no 50-something years, because this woman's like 49, 50 years old. She's a good-looking woman, but she was talking about how black men don't want no woman her age, and I told her that's a lie. And she said, well, what's my problem? She said, why don't you tell me from a male standpoint why I'm having problems getting a man? I said, first of all, it ain't got nothing to do with your job, and ain't got nothing to do with how much money you make. I said, the problem is that maybe you don't come off as being a very nice person. You don't come off as pleasant. And she doesn't. If you didn't know her, you would think she was a bitch. She always dresses sharp. She got an expensive car. She always got her hair looking good. But again, she's a bitch. And I thought of the same thing before I got to know her. And she said, I didn't start off that way. She said, I became a bitch because I work around nothing but men. And I had to get cutthroat. The problem is the cutthroatness filtered into my personal life. And then too, she was mad about being divorced. Her husband dumped her ass. She was married to a lawyer, and he dumped her ass. He didn't dump her for somebody young. He just dumped her ass. And she was pissed off about that. Still, after 6-7 years. Because he out here partying, because they had a son together, and he out here partying and driving I think he said something about him having a Bentley or some shit like that. She was talking shit about that. I said, well, what you talking shit about him for? You got a goddamn Porsche? What the fuck you talking about? What you bitching about? She talking about men just seem like they're intimidated by. I said, men ain't intimidated by you. I said, I wasn't intimidated by you. She was like, well, I just don't understand why I don't date white men. She said, I tried to go out with a couple white men. She said, these guys just, I can't date no white man. I can't get down with no white man. So that's the conundrum that a lot of black women are in. And this chick is kind of tall too. She's taller than me. You know, she's about 5'9", 5'10", something like that. But she's about an 8. She's a good looking chick. She got a banging body. Her body is tight for somebody 50 years old. But she's a bitch. I said, men want feminine women. They don't want a bitch. And they definitely not going to deal with a bitch that's 50. And she couldn't, I tried to explain it 50 different ways to her, and she still didn't understand. She said, I don't understand. I make 6 figures. I got this house over here in Northwest San Antonio. I don't understand what the problem. I said, the problem ain't your looks. The problem is you got the mentality of a man. You think men are going to be excited to date you because you got some money. And that's not how men think. Men are not interested in how much you make. They're not interested in your career. They could give a fuck. She was like, I tried. She said, I even dated some men and paid their bills. She did the female simp thing. She said that didn't work either because she just wasn't used to, taking care of no man. Because she came from a two-parent household where both her parents were educated people. But she said, I got to lower my standards. I said, you ain't got to lower your standards. I said, you just going to have to cast a bigger net. And you might have to be the initiator. She said, yeah, I tried to talk to a couple of brothers that, I found were in the military. They were officers in the military, but they were already married. I said, well, I said, you know what, you ain't in this for the long haul. I said, if you really want to find a man, you're going to have to roll up your sleeves. But my experience on Match.com was a total zero. I didn't, out of all that whole 3-month period that I was on Match.com, I only met one woman outside of Match. One. Okay? A doctor. Met one woman who was a doctor. And she was an idiot. I never saw her again after that. She was like, well, what do you want to do? I said, let's just meet at Starbucks. She said, well, I'm not on rotation at the hospital, so, that'll work. First of all, physically, this woman wasn't somebody I wanted to date. She was kind of flabby, and I was just like, this ain't going to work. I just wasn't physically attracted to her. But I would have dated her if she had been a nice person. She had some mental issues. She even told me, she said, I got some, I suffer from depression. I said, well, this ain't somebody I want to fuck with. I met one woman off Match.com, and they on TV. You know what? Match.com has the nerve to guarantee you're going to meet somebody. Somebody's going to take their ass to court. Somebody's going to take their ass to court, them sitting up there lying like that. Let me explain something to you. And I'm not, this ain't a video about online dating, but here's what I'm going to say about online dating. Let me tell you something. Online dating is like a buffet. Now, you only got one stomach, but a buffet provides all these different options and all these different entrees and desserts and drinks and all that shit. How much, realistically, How much of that shit can you actually eat and not kill yourself trying to do it? You either gonna sample everything and only get a little bit, which that ain't gonna be that much fun, because what if you get something that sucks, or you get something that you like, now you gotta go back and get that. You're either gonna sample everything and not get enough, or you're gonna get too much of one or two things and eat too much and drink too much. So really a buffet is what I call a facade. It's a mirage. It's a mirage. It shows you got all these options, but when you break it on down with quality eyes, you realize that most of what they offer is garbage. That's male and female. So what most of the women do, just like they do on plentyoffish.com, they're just on there trying to get attention. Because even the women you send messages to just be on there playing. You get a shitty ass response. There was a couple of black women I sent messages to, they gonna give me a frosty ass response, and yet they sent me a flirt. Or a wink. What they call it, a wink. Which you would figure that means this person is interested if they send you a wink. And then when you respond, they're going to give you a frosty ass response. I'm like, fuck you, bitch. You ain't that fucking cute. And yeah, there were a few women that I talked on the phone with, and it went pretty well. But they still end up being idiots. Or they had too many kids. I met a really good looking white girl that lived over here near me, but she had too many kids. She had like 5 kids. I was like, oh, hell no. Oh, fuck no. And yeah, 99.9% of these women were college educated and they had something to offer. But I wasn't interested because they had too many goddamn kids. They had too many kids. And even though these women ain't looking for no daddies for their kids, I didn't want to date them. I didn't want to date them because that whole situation's problematic. They got too many goddamn kids. They got too many goddamn kids. I ain't trying to fuck with nobody got all them goddamn kids. That's too much responsibility. Whether she's trying to be, responsible or not. That's just, I tend to date women that got 1 or 2 kids. And their kids better be over 13. Because if they can't be left alone by themselves, I ain't fucking with them. Because you ain't bringing them motherfuckers over here. And I ain't coming over there and I gotta leave. Because if I smoke something, I ain't gonna be riding around, smelling like chronic and being under the influence. That ain't gonna happen. So what is a black man to do? Well, those of you who ain't church niggas, those of you who ain't weak ass, sugary, syrupy ass simps and tricks, President Trump's presidency can be a benefit to you. Because yesterday, January 20th, 2017, was the end of the feminazi movement. You don't believe me? Look at all these white women are all around the world protesting. And I told my uncle this shit. I said, hey man, them motherfuckers scared to death. Hey, they already let the LGBT community know that they already sent a message to their ass. Okay, they already sent a message to them faggots. They already sent a message to them weird motherfuckers. They already sent a message to them butt pirates, them booty bandits. They already sent them a message. And you know what that message was? Let me tell you what they did. On the WhiteHouse.gov website, they got, every president's got their, their policy legacy that they want to achieve while they're in office. Well, we found out, I found out near the end of last few years of President Obama's presidency that he cared more about LGBT people than he cared about his own people. And so on the WhiteHouse.gov site, there's a page talking about the civil rights for LGBT people in America. Yesterday, January 20th, President Trump took over. They immediately took that page down. It is nowhere to be found. Put WhiteHouse.gov/LGBTQ in your browser and see if it don't come up. It will not come up because they took it down. They're sending a message. There might not be any policy initiatives being floated around Congress at this time because they just President Trump and Vice President Pence just took over. But you can best believe they will get around to it. And those of you who are friends of mine on Facebook, I posted something yesterday on Facebook about what Trump and Pence are going to do. Okay? And I'm going to tell you right now, if you'd have listened to President Trump's inaugural address, you know that he was speaking to his base. He was speaking to white males and females in this country. I got you. Okay? And if you looked at the cameras, because I didn't look at the inauguration in its entirety. I only looked at a little bit of it because I went to the gym because I was feeling groovy. Okay? I was feeling happier than a runaway slave. Okay? I'm happy as a motherfucker that Trump's in there because I know he's getting ready to set them hoes back. And when the cameras panned over past Michelle Obama and President Obama and some of the members of Congress that were up there behind Trump, they start frowning when he start talking shit. Especially we was talking about these folks that have been in the career politicians. They done been in Washington for years and they ain't done a goddamn thing but pad their own pockets. And they ain't done shit for you. And he's right. He's right. You'd be surprised how many white boys out here got criminal records and they can't get decent jobs either. So they're angry. These white males are angry. But they're not angry enough to lash out at their own women. So they need somebody to do it for them. And President Obama spent 8 years in office being touchy-feely and trying to be everybody's fucking buddy and friend, except for his own fucking people. All we got was him singing Al Green songs and telling black men to pull their pants up. Not once did he address any of those police shootings. Not once did he address white supremacy and racism that affects black men, the reason why black men are under attack. He didn't talk about any of that. 8 years in office and he didn't do shit for his people. If I want to hear Al Green songs, I'll put an Al Green CD in one of my CD players. I don't want to hear his no singing ass singing fucking Al Green songs. But that's all we got from him for 8 years. He did more for illegal aliens and gay people than he did for his own people. I ain't even gonna get into the whole gay thing. I'll let you find that out on your own. But you're going to be able to benefit from the Trump presidency. You're going to be able to benefit because they're getting ready to shut down this gynocentric, feminist bullshit ass movement. And I told my uncle about 3 weeks ago, I said, hey man, these white women are going to scream holy hell come right after Trump takes office. These white women are going to raise hell because they know what's next. They know Roe v. Wade is going to get abolished. Check. They know that the wealth, all this talk about domestic violence and women's rights, all that shit's gonna get set back. Check. Because you have to understand something. Evangelical types, these white Christians like Pence and his wife, they can't stand welfare bitches. They can't stand bitches that having these kids out of wedlock. Okay? Now, Trump, he don't give a fuck. But Pence does. And I can tell you right now, Vice President Pence, he's going to be the one who's going to be reaching out to evangelicals who are in the Congress and outside of Congress. He's going to be that's going to be his job, to keep that base energized. Because you have to understand something. Poor white trash, males and females, voted for Trump. Middle class, upper middle class, and solid middle class white females and males voted for Trump. The only people who voted for voted for Hillary's ass, Senator Kankle's ass, was minorities, LGBT motherfuckers, college educated white women, upper class women, and some middle class white women. And even somebody on CNN said today, they said, you know what? The Democratic strategists are kicking themselves in the teeth right now because they're saying, damn, we should have reached out to poor white single moms because that base voted for Trump. She said we should have reached out to them. They fucked up. Not that it would have made any difference because presidents are selected, not elected. So it wouldn't have made no difference because most of the electoral college people who actually put a president in the White House are mainly white males. So it wouldn't have made any difference anyway. Okay? You will be able to benefit from Trump being in the White House. I know what you're thinking. Oh man, what, you a Republican now? what, you a Republican now, ICE? No, I'm not. I'm telling you, these women wouldn't be out here protesting if they didn't think they was going to lose some shit. Because you have to understand something. The way America works is this. If one group gains something, another group loses something. It can't be that everybody wins at the same time. That's not how politics and economics works in America. If white women have been mainly the ones that have benefited from gynocentric politics and economics in America, and corporations have been sending jobs to India and Philippines and China, who's hurting right now? White males. Mainly blue collar white males, but white collar white males too. Because for every 10 blue collar jobs, you need maybe 1 or 2 white collar jobs to manage those employees. So white males, whether they're college educated or blue collar, they're all pissed off. They're all mad. And they were all mad at Obama's ass. Not that it was his fault, but you know how it works. You know how politics works in America. They blame the closest nigger to them. You're going to benefit from Trump being in office because the feminazi movement ended yesterday. That's why these bitches are protesting not just here in America. And we're talking white females. Yeah, there was some dumb niggas out there. There was some dumb niggas out there with pink hats on. There was some fucking men out there where, obviously most of those men were probably gay or LGBT niggas. But you had white women protesting in Paris. You had white women protesting in Australia. You had white women protesting everywhere. Everywhere there were white women, they were protesting. Why? Because they know white women are getting ready to lose some shit. They're getting ready to lose some shit. And yeah, Trump ain't got to get up there and say, yeah, you bitches are in trouble. Just hold on to your hat. He ain't got to get up there and make no fucking announcement. That would be stupid. But with that pen in his hand, he's going to make some shit disappear. And all this whining and all this gynocentric bullshit, because you have to understand something. The main reason why dating is fucked up in America is because of feminism. It's because these bitches think they don't need you and they don't need me. All they need us for is for a sperm donation, and that's it. And then they can take us to rape us in court, and then they can go out here and be a hoe, and then they can complain about us slut shaming them. Ain't gonna be no slut shaming. Oh, ain't gonna be no Amber Rose walk around. Ain't gonna be no pussy power politics. The pussy power politics is over with. Okay? These bitches are getting ready to get a foot in their ass. Now let me explain something to you. Trump's ass gonna be in there for 8 years. So you might want to kick back and grab a box of popcorn. Because it's getting ready. It's going to be a serious beatdown. These white women getting ready to get a beatdown. Because you got to understand something. With all of the trinkets that these white female feminists have been able to get over the last few years, they took those benefits from white males. And what Trump is going to do is put jobs and money back into white males' pockets, which means if you paying attention to shit and you got your shit together, you're going to be able, even though you might be black, you'll be able to benefit. Now, if you a ghetto nigga going in and out of jail and going in and out of prison, no, you ain't going to benefit. you're going to be on the receiving end of an ass whooping, like you did under Obama. Yeah, is Trump going to pump money into the prison industrial complex? Yes. Are there going to be laws put on the books that are going to be putting more black men in prison? Yes. Are black women going to wake up before it's too late and start trying to work with black men and get back on point with black men? Highly unlikely. Will some of them get smart? Yeah, because I talked to some of them on my personal Facebook page, and some of them are realizing that they're reading the writing on the wall. The writing's on the wall, dog. Oh, these women are scared, especially these punk-ass single moms that went out here and caused all the trouble for themselves as well as anybody connected to them. Oh, these single moms getting ready to get it real good, because that double earned income credit that Clinton put into effect before he left office, that shit's getting ready to get wiped out. They're already talking about it on CNN, talking about the tax code. They revamping the whole tax code. There was a congressman, he's on the Treasury Committee. He said, oh yeah, Trump's going to take care of the tax code, and that earned income credit is getting ready to disappear after this year. Now, they might not have time to fuck with it for this tax cycle, but you can best believe for 2018, ain't going to be no double earned income credit on there. Might not be any earned income credit. It used to be, with earned income credit, you used to be able to write off child care and all and after school care. They ain't going to be able to write that off. Do you know how much that will kick these women in the ass? That will teach these single moms a fucking lesson. Plus, he's going to cut welfare. They're going to cut welfare and Medicaid down to bare minimum. These bitches ain't going to be able to make a career out of welfare like they did under Clinton and under Bush and under Obama's ass. They ain't going to get away with that shit no more, laying on their back having a bunch of kids and then expecting the government to take care of them. Oh no. Oh no, that shit's over with. Feminism and gynocentric politics, that shit's done with as of January 20th. Okay? And he's gonna set that clock back to the 80s when bitches had to tolerate men. And you know, that's so bad that they had to tolerate men. It's going to get back to where women are going to have to depend on men. Now, the reason why a lot of Mexican men, a lot of Latino men, women don't act too much of a fool is because they depend on their men for their bread and butter. Same thing with white women. Black women are the only women in this country, or Asian women, them too. The only women who don't depend on their men for their bread and butter is black women, because black women sold out back in the late 60s and early 70s. When they start passing out those welfare checks, black women got in line. That's not your fault, black man. That's their fault. You got first, second, and third generation welfare recipients in this country, in the black community. That's not by accident. But these black women are getting ready to pay for it. You have to understand something. No matter what, white women are going to win no matter what. And what black women are going to find out the hard way is that the little crumbs that they got from the white feminists, it ain't going to be worth it. In the next 10 years, it ain't going to be worth it. It ain't going to be worth it. Because Trump and Pence are going to set the clock back. They might even set it as far back as the goddamn 70s. Where women had to depend on men, and the only jobs that women could get was fucking teaching and secretarial work. It ain't too far removed past that right now. But they really getting ready to go back to that. But you have to understand something. When it comes to dating, these other women haven't fucked up as bad with their men the way black women have. Black women have just totally ruined their relationship with black men. And now, on Facebook, you got all these black women trying to act civil and trying to pretend to act civil because they know that they're getting ready to start catching hell. They're getting ready to start catching hell, dog. They're getting ready to start catching hell. Like I said, I've never had a problem dating black women. I've never had a problem getting black women. Never had a problem getting black women. I started having a problem with non-black women when I grew a brain and started realizing that these non-black women were trying to use me. And that these women were trying to get something out of me, trying to be economic hitmen and get a free dating safari out of the Iceman while I got nothing. That ain't gonna happen. That's not happening, dog. And I had to wake up after providing a couple of free drinks and a couple of free dinners last year. I had to realize that that's all they see black men for. It's something for free. A dating safari. And you need to wake up and smell the Folgers and stop bullshitting. Concentrate on getting your dollars up. Get you a skill. Because the jobs are going to start coming back. But you got to understand something. These jobs are going to be high-skilled, blue-collar jobs. And if you don't have a certification to run those machines, those computers that run those machines, or if you don't go back to school and get get certified to drive heavy equipment, bulldozers and dirt movers and shit like that, if you don't get certified to drive that kind of equipment, you're going to be out of a job, brother. I tell brothers all the time, go get you a CDLA license and drive trucks. At least you don't have to sit at home. You'll make $60,000 a year. Your ass will never be at home, but at least you'll be able to make $60 a year. Especially if you're willing to, drive 600, 700, 800 miles every week. I got a homeboy I went to high school with that's a truck driver. He make about $80 a year. Me and him always talk on Facebook. That's my dude. He live in Atlanta. I wish I'd have known he lived in Atlanta. I didn't know he lived in Atlanta. I would have hooked up with him. But black men, it's time to get your shit together, man. Get your dollars up, man. Get your shit together. Get together with other brothers and buy some land. Buy some property. Trump getting ready to make America business friendly. And with this marijuana thing jumping off, shit. Man, you niggas just don't know, man. Coming up here very soon, I got a trip I got to go to Seattle to talk to some people. Oh, I'm about to get in on this shit before it blow up. Because once it blow up, everybody and their mama gonna want to be in it. And by then, it's gonna be over. It's gonna be, by then it's gonna be some bullshit when everybody and their mama start getting into it. You tune in to the Iceman Show. I'm your host, the Iceman. The Iceman Unchained. I might do a show tomorrow. I haven't decided just yet. I haven't decided whether I'm gonna do a show tomorrow on Blog Talk Radio. I'll decide later on tonight if I'm gonna do it. If I do a show tomorrow, it'll probably be about 1 or 2 o'clock before the first playoff game come on at Green Bay Atlanta game. So I'll put a video up or you get with me on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and I'll announce whether or not we're gonna have a show tomorrow. But I'll try to do it before I go to bed tonight. You tune into the Iceman Show. I'm your host, the Iceman. Go by my website, asktheiceman.com, and check me out. If you need therapy, I got some therapy packages listed on there. If you need a business plan for your business, check out some of the business plan packages that I have listed there. Also, you can get an autographed copy of my book, The Game of Life, according to the Iceman Volume 1. I am currently writing my next book, The Dating Bible, Maconomics. Hopefully I'll have it done by the summer. I'll keep you guys in the loop on that. Holla at your boy.